So today we're going to look at a fly that I have quite a bit of success on the rivers with, and it's a general pattern. It's more about the style of the fly rather than the actual dressing, because what you can do with this fly, it's fairly simple to tie, and you can adapt the colours or the size of the hook to suit your own individual preferences on your own individual rivers. I've got a size 14 dry fly in the vise, a dry fly hook in the vise. I'm going to use some Olive Done uni thread, just an 8/0 general purpose tying silk. I'm going to use an Olive Done cock hackle. I'm going to use some Artist Brushes fibres for the tail. I've got some very light olive fine dubbing here. This is my own dubbing, I make my own dubbings. And I'm going to use some CDC feathers. It'll only be 2 on this one, size 14. So these are light grey dun. Okay. So what we do is, again, it's a fairly simple fly to tie. It won't win you any fly tying contests, but it will catch you fish. Make no mistake about that. So we cast the thread on in the usual manner at the eye, and we take touch and turns back towards the point of the hook. Maybe about, I don't know, 3/4 of the way towards the point of the hook, about there. Take your fine point scissors and trim, and then just clean up that wee bit there. Take your thread back, halfway back up towards the eye, so you've got, I don't know, maybe 2mm forward of the eye. You want to take your CDC and just dampen it slightly down to get control of it, because this is natural CDC from a goose, and it's a wee bit kind of flighty, if you'll pardon the pun. So what you do is, you want your CDC to be about the length of the body, about there, and then just catch it in with a half pinch and loop, and just draw it back till it's about the length of the body. Then lock it in with maybe 2 turns. Take your fine point scissors and trim at an angle, there, and then just catch that in. Pull the CDC back and get a couple of turns tight in to the front of the CDC, and that should help cock the feather. Now you want to run your thread in touch and turns all the way back to the point where the hook disappears around the bend, at the point where you're going to tie in your tail fibres. And you've got that kind of nice tapered effect on the body, to about there. And I'll just take my fine point scissors and I'll trim away some of these odd fibres that are kicking around. I want to now take about, I don't know, 4 or 5 Artist Brush fibres. You can buy these for a couple of £2 in the art shops or in the hobby shops and that. They're quite good because they're slightly different coloured tips on them. So you want about the length of the body there, and just take a wee half loop round that and then just catch that in. Lock it in with a turn. Don't worry that the tail's a wee bit long on these flies, because sometimes that helps. It helps to cock them better. Run your thread back up to the point where you're going to tie in the hackle, and just before you do that, take your fine point scissors and trim away the excess fibres, about there. Now take some of your fine dub. Now this needs a wee bit of judgment, and sometimes you can misjudge this, but you only want a very small amount, just a tiny drop like that. And what you want to do is you want to dub that onto the thread, and you want a dubbing rope that's going to take you right back to where the tail is, about there. Okay, and then you want to run it back towards the tail. You want it nice, neat touch and turns to about that point there. That's perfect. Now this time you're going to go back up and you're going to lay your silk and open turns to give the fly a segmented effect, like so, like that. Now you want to take one of your Olive Done hackles, and you want to dress the end of the hackle. You want to tie it in, catch it in with a turn at the back of the CDC, draw the CDC back, and then tie that stalk down at the front of the CDC. Take your fine point scissors and trim away any excess. like so. Just catch that there, like so. Now take your hackle, and what you want to do is you want to maybe get 3 good turns at the back of the CDC, like so. 2, there's 3 there. Then draw the CDC back, and you want 3 or 4 good turns in front of the CDC, drawing it back as you turn. So that's 3 and 4. Then lock it in with a turn of thread. Get 2-3 wraps on that. Take your fine point scissors, trim. Now take your thumb and forefinger in the usual manner and draw that back and form a nice neat head, making sure you got all the fibres behind the head, like so. And once you've formed the head, what you want to do is you want to put a whip finish in there, maybe a 4 or a 5 turn whip finish. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just draw that down. Take your fine point scissors and trim. Now, you would then obviously come in with your varnish or your UV. You would do the head, put some varnish on the head just to secure it. And how I normally do it is I would normally, when I'm on the river, I would put some floating under the tail and maybe just cock those tails up a wee bit. I might do a middle pattern on the hackle below and put some floating underneath there, and maybe a smidgen on the body. But that's it. Now that fly will sit great in the water, it'll cock beautifully, and believe me, although it won't win any fly tying contests, that will catch fish. So go away, give it a go, and let me know how you get on.